But joining me now to expatiate more on this matter is Dr. Yunusa Tanko. Dr. Yunusa Tanko, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we had a very intriguing campaign and, of course, a very interesting result. What do you make of the entire events that played out at the National Assembly?
Well, let us just go back a little bit in history. The euphoria that welcomed the amalgamation of the 4 or 5 groups of political parties into one was something that is quite interesting, because a lot of people didn't see it like possibly happening, okay? And then it did happen. But the aftermath effect is what you saw in the National Assembly, because the target was, let us gain power. But I don't know whether this amalgamation were ready to what do we do with power when we get it.
Are you referring to the ruling party?
Yes, at the moment now. And then when we get it, how do we ensure that everybody in the group is interest or her interest is being captured in the collective interest? And then unfortunately, it did not take care of this nitty-gritty. And then eventually, what plays out was that every group or that 5 components is now looking out for its own interests. The AMPP, the CPC, the ACN, the Abuja, some part of Abuja, and some part of PDP, which is, they call themselves New PDP.
Yes.
This is the conglomerate of the core group that joined and forced a common force. The agenda at that time, from what we were studying from outside, was that let us give the semblance of change for the Nigerian people and sell it as a brand, which worked effectively well. But then, whether they were able to sit down and agree on what part of that particular component of governance would any group take was another issue. If it was, then that means that the group would have taken care of that areas in which had been seeded for them. Because when the election for the State and National Assembly, Senate, and the House of Representatives came up, it was very, very clear. The new PDP, which forms some part of the nucleus, which has already had a seat in the National Assemblies from both houses, decided on where they want to go. Okay, the presidency has been taken by the APC. What is in it for us? Don't make this mistake. Politics is about interests. Whether the interest is in the interest of the people is another thing entirely. The target is that let's get the power first before we can now show our interest. But if you get the power and you do not do what the Nigerian people want, they too are waiting on the sidewalk. So we need to understand all of these intrigues. So for that new PDP taking the position of Senate, or let's say collaborating with the other existing PDP to take power in the National Assembly, what played out. So for me, it's very, very clear. The APC need to quickly show control, accommodation, and taking care of the interests of the different components. Let's
understand what happened really, because for many it was like a joke. It was hilarious.
Yes.
That on the morning of the inauguration ceremony, about 51 adults, 51 senators-elect would just walk away into a meeting they considered more important, just minutes before the most important ceremony to take place. And you're wondering, how did that happen? What did they really think seriously about what they were going into?
No, there was a little bit of laxity and feeling of comfort on the part of the core APC, who thought probably they have already had a pre-elections to the National Assembly and bringing out a candidate. Dealing with a hardcore politician who I refer to as a very strategic person who eventually defeated his own father, who was more in a control of a state. And you don't play handcuff glove with such an individual. You take it serious. So they were calculative. They knew where they are heading. And so they didn't take it as anything as like it's a play game. While you were having meetings and all of those ones, because that particular meeting shouldn't have taken place on the morning of a very important election. It should have been dealt with, right, probably in the night or in the afternoon. An agreement will have been made before you go into election. You are not there. we're waiting for you, and there's a time lag for all of this election to take place.
I tried to understand why that meeting was fixed at the time.
That was that is part of the calculation and strategic calculation. You just don't, you see, politics is like a circle. The moment you don't take the space, somebody else will take the space. So what happened is that those other ones who were interested in taking leadership of this National Assembly took up the space. So if they were very strategic in nature, they shouldn't have gone into that meeting when they know that some of them are already agreed and they've taken a particular stage. The early warnings were there. It wasn't as if they kept it. No, they made it categorically clear that they are going to go into that election. So if you are going to elections, you must be able to know, take your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. This particular group took the opportunity of the weaknesses of the others.
Looking at the reaction now of the APC, you know, of course, when the reality dawned on them that the whole thing had shifted against them. Right now, they're issuing so many threats. We want to go to court. We're going to discipline whoever is involved in anti-party activities. We'll do this. We'll do that. Is that the kind of reaction that should? It would
be a calculative mistake if you go that hard line, because the truth about it is that this particular group are members of your political party. If you give room for them to consolidate, there's going to be a wider gap being established. And then you lose control of the leadership of both houses and even asserting your authority as a political party. So what you need to do in this scenario is that you need to bring on board the different aggrieved group and let them understand the stake is beyond individual or group. The stake is actually Nigeria, Nigerians who are asking for a total change, departing from the past. Don't move your eye from the ball. So, but then your interests should be taken care of in the internal nucleus. As of now, for me, if I'm the chairman of APC, which I am not, but in my party, I will tell my member, call them for a meeting immediately. All of you are my members. The differences that we had is unfortunate, but then let's forge ahead and work together as a group. Do not show anger. The issue of punishment cannot arise at this point in time, because any attempt to make that will widen the gap and make it difficult for Mr. President to carry on with governance. Fortunately enough, which I will congratulate the president, whoever gave him the advice was smart enough to tell him that do not take any side. What has happened has happened. They have done it based on constitutional arrangement. Don't show anger. If they had not shown anger and have called the interest group and tell the gentlemen, this is the interest of the party.
Yes.
But if you want to go individually, this is what you want to go, no problem. There's always future for them. Any other person would be careful not to engage in dividing the interest of the party.
We're still with the chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, Dr. Yanusa Tanko. We'll be right back on the outcome of the 8th National Assembly inauguration. Please stay with us.
I think the party made its position clear on the matter that it is unhappy with the outcome of the election. And I think we will not see anything beyond that. What the senators will do is within the capability and rights of the senators.